Hello there and welcome to Take 3, our weekly sort of broadcast where we look at the events of the week gone by and try and decode them, analyze them for you. This week we've had two big events. One, of course, the big elections from Maharashtra, what may it mean in the national picture. And then, of course, the other one, what we saw in Sambhal, what we saw in Ajmer. A lot of these places where there are masjids or dargahs are now in the center of all the controversy. Because there are court orders asking for a survey. How far will this go? Joining me here on Take 3, on my right, Rahul Shivshankar, as always, contributing editor, Network 18. On my left, we have a guest host this week. Nadan Mehta is managing editor, Money Control. Welcome, gents. Let's start with Maharashtra. Huge election. It's the second biggest state, the richest state in the country. You know, there are victories and then there are victories. 234 to the NDA, 132 to the BJP. Did you expect that?
No, I didn't, but I began to get convinced when I interviewed the chap who got it wrong, but then got it right, Mr. Gupta of Access, and he gave us this big sort of insight into why he thought this time the results would be, and you got them both right actually, both sort of, extremes, but different polls. But Zaka, I wish and I'm going to be a little provocative, so don't hold this against me, but I wish the Congress strike rate were as good as the Gandhi family winning strike rate. Now we have Priyanka Gandhi also entering parliament, and barring one election since 2004, which is Rahul Gandhi's sort of shock defeat, if you like, in Amethi, the Gandhis have actually had quite a good run of it. The Congress party, so as their fortunes rise and the Gandhi family sort of expands into this sort of electoral block of its own, the Congress fortune is shrinking.
Are you saying that it's a time now for somebody who's a non-Gandhi to lead the Congress?
You see, I think that's really the issue. I think the issue is being postponed year after year, election defeat after election defeat. And one has got to look, if you were a congressman, very seriously at what the G23 had been saying. The G23, of course, being that group that raised the banner of revolt, but somehow seems to have lost its nous. To take it to its logical conclusion, their little revolt saying that, look, we really need to get to the point where the Congress party is beginning to reform itself from within. Yes, there will be some victories, but we can't sit on our laurels. And I think what this election result, or these 3 or 4 elections, you look, even in Jharkhand, their strike rate is just 50%. JMM has done phenomenally better. In NC, Jammu and Kashmir, the NC outstripped the Congress. It had given it the responsibility of holding the BJP's charge in Jammu. The Congress was blown away. Haryana, completely counter-narrative. It was an election that it was supposed to win by a thumping majority. It lost. Maharashtra, the worst ever performance. I mean, if you heard Prithviraj Chauhan speaking the other day, he was saying it was the worst ever performance put in by the Congress party in his entire memory. I mean, that goes a long way back in time. So I think the Congress really needs to go back and stop blaming EVMs and like bad workmen, their tools, etc. I think they just have to look at doing the structure. Remember when Rahul Gandhi first assumed the presidentship of the party, and that was supposedly, a selection, but there was at least this sort of a sort of faux attempt at trying to suggest there was a contest there. He did say, I'm going to hold primaries. We're going to do what the American parties do to renew leadership. That didn't happen. And I think the pigeons are coming home to roost.
Before I come to Nalin, I don't necessarily agree that, the Gandhis are the problem in the Congress party. I think the Congress party is simply not able to relate to large swathes of our population because whatever narrative that they're trying, I mean, when you're in the opposition and when you're trying to attack the government, you need a couple of things, right? You need a narrative. You need a lot of people to buy into that narrative. And of course, you need a leader, you need a personality, you need a chehra. One of those issues, Rahul could be right. Maybe Rahul Gandhi is not the perfect chehra to lead the opposition, lead the Congress. But then the question is who, right? Do you see Akhilesh Yadav or Mamata Banerjee or Arvind Kejriwal or any of the other India Alliance leaders sort of becoming the fulcrum of the opposition to Modi, right? I don't see that happening. It's still, to my mind, I think Rahul Gandhi is still by far with the existing lot. Now, I don't know if a new leader emerges, out of the blue, somebody who comes and captures the imagination of the nation. But having said that, in the existing crop, I don't see anyone other than Rahul Gandhi becoming the sort of fulcrum of the opposition. Bharat Jodo was well received. I don't think, I mean, all of us were talking about this, this time last year when he was walking from Kanyakumari to Kashmir and then, from Manipur to Gujarat. There was a sense that, okay, at least here's someone who is going out there, he's walking, he's trying to connect in this extremely polarized atmosphere. He's trying to sell something called the Mohabbat Ki Dukaan or whatever it is. But fact is that some of it did have resonance in the Lok Sabha election in the summer. It did have resonance. Now, again, what has basically happened to my mind in Haryana and Maharashtra is it's forcing the Congress party to go back to the drawing board and saying, okay, we ran a particular campaign, we ran a particular narrative in the Lok Sabha election. Some of it was helpful. They went from 54 to 99. But now it's time to go back to the drawing board. This whole thing about caste census and changing reservation, is it not working beyond a point? Because the last two elections have shown it hasn't. And if it is not, then what else do you find to attack the government with? So I don't think it's as much a personality issue as it is a question of capturing the imagination of the voter by picking up issues that are resonant to him or her.
I think there is a structural problem with the Congress. See, 3 months back, the Congress showed that, ultimately the Congress remains the only other national party compared to, apart from the BJP. And 3 months back, they had captured a certain kind of zeitgeist. As you said, after the Bharat Jodo Yatra and so on, it looked 3 months ago that the beginning of the decline of BJP has started and the Congress is on the ascendant, like the curve has started moving in a particular direction. Maharashtra and Haryana before that have shown that that was an aberration, that was a momentary moment, that was a moment in time where people were giving a certain message to the BJP, don't be arrogant, stay within a certain envelope, and it was specific to that moment, but long term, nothing has changed in our polity, right? We're back to where we were before 4th of June. A major reason for that is that the Congress at the moment stands a lot for what it doesn't stand for. Nobody quite knows what it actually stands for. I mean, it's the anti-BJP, but what is it on its own beyond not being the BJP? And in what worked for it 3 months ago was there were certain things that caught the BJP by surprise. This whole narrative of Samvidhan Khatre mein hai, the whole thing around reservations, and both at the macro level and at the state level, like Maratha agitation in Maharashtra. The BJP was a bit overconfident and it got taken by it. Realized too late, probably by the 4th round, the things were sticky on the ground, but it was too late to pull back. The main difference, and when I say structural, what I mean is, in 3 months from then to now, we have seen a demonstration of the strengths and weaknesses of both parties. The BJP has shown a very strong ability to course correct, and that's not difficult, that's not easy to do on scale. The Congress has essentially tried to fight the same election 3 times. Right? What their narrative in Lok Sabha was the same as in Haryana and same now. It doesn't work. And the BJP is showing, it actually demonstrated its deep strength. That once they figured out what the problem was, they made peace with the RSS, figured out the cadres were unhappy, they addressed the issue of Samvidhan Khatre mein hai on the ground. The Congress is not being able to do that. Unless it does that, and it is not going to change much at the national level, but this raises another larger problem in national politics, because you mentioned Akhilesh, you mentioned Mamata. See, at the end of the day, the last 20 years have shown us that these are regional leaders, very powerful regional leaders, but they don't have a pan-national span. So the absence of a strong Congress party is a problem for our polity. And also, but one thing is sure, 3 months ago, 100 looked like 240 and 240 looked like 140. That was a narrative that's been punctured. You know, and the Modi government has recovered its momentum.
Modi's got his mojo back. So let me put you in a spot of bother.
Okay?
If you were called upon, in the highly unlikely chance that you were called upon to advise Rahul Gandhi or Mamata Banerjee or Akhilesh Yadav as to how does the opposition beat the BJP in elections, what would your advice be?
So just very quickly, I would just ask him to read Rajni Kothari's seminal paper, The Decline of the Congress System. Why are we surprised that the Congress party, in the last, I think it's been now 20 years, 4 elections, I think, hasn't breached 25% of the electoral vote share? Okay. The Congress hasn't formed a government on its own since 1989. That's when it went out of power. And you could argue that 84 was a sympathy election. The first cracks appeared actually when the Congress split under Indira Gandhi, and about 8-9 years later, Rajni Kothari comes out with this paper. And what did he actually home in on? He said the problem was, and he used this phrase which sticks in my mind, plebiscitary form or plebiscitary model of the Congress party, which is that at that time everything was revolving around the one central pole, that was Indira Gandhi. That, unfortunately, what it did was that she was a lightning rod for aspirations of darbaris, not of the people who were coming up the ranks. So the Congress began to lose. The Congress's problem is not just the BJP, it's also the regional parties. So the BJP might be actually swallowing it head down. The others are sort of nipping away at the Congress from the sides. I think the Congress really needs to have a deep look at energizing its cadre, showing them that if you belong to the Congress movement, there is a way that you can come up the ranks and lead the Congress party. That's why I sort of said that, look, you might have a time of transition. You might say, okay, Rahul Gandhi says, I'm going to give this party 8 years. And under me, I'm going to ensure that we are going to elect, he could become chairman emeritus of the Congress group. But, let's get some CEOs in who know the party, who know the pulse of the people, who actually speak like the people, and they come up through the ranks. That's what Rajni Kothari said. You need to be that catch-all party. That's the only way you're going to destroy the, in some ways, the catch-all caste, this thing of the BJP.
The BJP has actually become the Big Tent party.
Yeah.
The Congress used to be the Big Tent party. Today, the BJP is the Big Tent party. And let's be clear, the glue that is keeping the Big Tent together is actually Hindutva. I mean, go no further than the Maharashtra election where, the Congress and the opposition tried to sort of deconstruct Hindutva.
Actually, we should just call it Moditva.
Yeah, Moditva, Hindutva. They try to deconstruct it with the caste fear, with the reservation
So let
fear.
me add another layer to this. See, Rahul talked about Rajni Kothari's seminal paper, and that was about the Congress system. Originally a paper and then a book.
Exactly.
That system went off from we saw the first signs of decline of that 67. By the mid 80s, it was off. By 89, we now have. Clearly, the BJP has replaced the Congress as the dominant party of this country. There is a new BJP system, which is what I have argued in my book, right, in the past. But this new BJP system is the difference between this and the old Congress system is, like you said, it is now, the similarities is the common tent, and that's across all castes. The difference is the Congress did not have one ideology. It was a loose-knit group. The BJP tent is animated by ideology, and everybody who joins it is expected to adhere to that ideology, at least in public.
Okay. All right. So what we'll do is we'll take a break here on Take 3. When we come back, we're going to talk about another issue which was again in the news in a couple of places. One in Sambhal in Uttar Pradesh, where things kind of got out of control, and also in Ajmer at the famous Ajmer Dargah. So in both places, on the back of court orders, a survey was ordered, and that's of course led to questions being asked as to, after Ayodhya, we're talking about Kashi, Mathura, Sambhal now, and then Ajmer, where does this stop? So that'll be on the other side of the break.